What's up, everybody? This is DNN the Movie Man. I'm Dan Sasala.
And I'm Nate Thomas, and this is our review for Avengers Infinity War.
How's it going, everybody? So this is our non-spoiler review for Marvel's Infinity War. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, don't be alarmed. This will not have any spoilers whatsoever. This is just our broad review of the movie. So Nate, what is your initial opinion on the movie?
My initial opinion, I loved it. I thought it was great. Going out of the theater, my mind was blown. I thought it was great. What'd you think?
You stole the words right out of my mouth. I mean, this movie is one of the best in the MCU for a lot of reasons. It has a great villain, Thanos. We won't get into too much of him, but he is honestly one of the best villains in the MCU. The acting is absolutely great. The visual effects are absolutely great. There's literally everything about this movie is great, except for a couple problems that we had that we'll mention in our full spoiler review for the movie. But overall, it's a fantastic film. What are some of the highlights that you want to just talk about instead of going into the bad parts first?
One part that I want to highlight is Thanos, actually. I know Dan actually had some concerns about Thanos. He didn't want him to be overhyped or anything. But, I mean, you learn really quickly in the movie, like 5 to 10 minutes within seeing Thanos, you realize his power, even without Infinity Stones. So that was one part that really resonated with me. How about you?
Yeah, and that was like one of the best touches early on in the film. Like, once I saw that, I'm like, this dude is going to be a great villain. And he's not just a powerful, like physically built villain. He's emotionally strong. He's mentally strong. He's the villain that all the villains in the MCU we're trying to be and just haven't lately. But overall, yeah, Thanos was the villain that everyone hyped him up to be, and that's honestly one of the best parts about this movie and what drove the movie for me.
Yeah. Another thing that I really liked was the character development between the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy. You really got to see them connect with each other well, and you got to see the differences at first, but then ultimately them coming together as a team to defeat or not defeat Thanos.
Oh yeah, definitely. The charisma between Rocket, Groot, Thor, the Guardians that you see in the trailer, you do see in the movie, and even more. And I just thought that Thor was a major part of this film, and he was honestly one of my favorite parts because of the role he plays in the film. But overall, like Thor Ragnarok for us was good, but not. It was mediocre at best. But Thor in this really did shine in this movie because he plays such an important character. Do you have any like other characters for you that stood out?
Not really, honestly. I didn't have a ton of characters that really shined throughout the movie, but I mean all of them were great.
Yeah, definitely. Because this is a big blockbuster movie, the visual effects, they had a big budget for it, and it does show. The visual effects for all the scenes on different planets and the spaceships, they're flawless, basically. There is a little bit of CGI work that was iffy at some point.
Just one character. It's just one person though. It's not a big thing. Everything else was flawless, absolutely flawless, like Dan said.
Yeah. Speaking of character development from earlier, I do love the relationship between Tony and
Peter.
Yeah, Peter. You see it in Spider-Man and Civil War. It just grows from there, guys. It's the classic father-son relationship that you see, and it just grows even more in the film. Basically, this film just took everything in the MCU, brought it all together, and just made it better.
Basically, yeah.
I mean, there's nothing more to it, honestly. One of the things that I didn't care for a whole lot were some characters and the way they were portrayed in the earlier movies. once you see the film, you'll know what I'm talking about, I think. But Nate, you noticed this a little bit too.
Yeah, I noticed it a little bit, and this is something we'll get more into in our spoiler review. These characters were still really good in the film. They were just lacking a little bit, and I think you'll see it throughout the film.
Yeah. And one of the things that Marvel has been doing lately is trying to push more of the comedic side of the movies, especially with Thor Ragnarok, and that was one of our big gripes with Thor Ragnarok. But in this film specifically, for me, it got pretty close of being too much, but overall, the humor was the same great humor that we see in Spider-Man, that we see in Civil War, all the basically the top movies of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It has that kind of same humor.
Yeah, and the Russo brothers did a really good job at combining the Guardians humor and the Avengers humor, because the two types of humors are totally different. You know, Guardians, it's a lot more upbeat humor, and Avengers, it's more just kind of like sly humor that kind of gets at you. So bringing those two together, they really did a good job at combining the humor.
Yeah, and one thing that we didn't talk about yet before this was how did you feel about the characters of the Avengers being separated, as far as, because like in the trailers we see
The separate teams form. And
yeah,
stuff,
yeah, the separate teams, the people in Wakanda, the people on other planets, and then the Guardians of the Galaxy and how they mix. Like how did you find that in the film?
I really liked it. Some groups I thought worked a little better than others. There was one group in particular that I didn't necessarily not care for that much, but I didn't think they really worked as well together. So overall, I thought the separation of the Avengers and Guardians was really great. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was very, very, very functional. The only problem I had slightly with it was that because they are separated, you don't get as much time with the characters as you would like. Yes, we have 18 movies before this that you get to see all the character development and them grow, which is completely understandable that they didn't need to develop them as much in this film. So it didn't detract from the film at all. It was just something that I noticed and felt was a little bit more lacking. But you can only do so much in a 2.5 hour time period, honestly. So those are our thoughts on Avengers Infinity War. If you guys like this video, please hit that thumbs up button down below, and also leave your non-spoiler comments in the comment section below.
And don't forget to subscribe to see our spoiler review for Avengers Infinity War.